All right, yeah, I think we're good. Has anyone been to the Funny Bone here, the comedy club? They always start off at the comedy club and say, the more you drink, the funnier we are. So I think I'm going to start my next speech with that. And the more you drink, the better the speech, the more motivated you'll be.
That's right.
But how's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Well, I want you to think about your goals and dreams. And I want you to think about your life when you've accomplished these goals and dreams. And if you're already there, great. If you're not there, I want to tell you an important message, and that it's possible. No matter how far-fetched, no matter how insane, big it might seem, your dreams are possible. Now, who am I to tell you this, right? After all, I don't know most of you. And that's a good point. The reason I tell you that your dreams are possible is because if I can do it, anybody can do it. I have very humble beginnings. I was raised in a poor family in a rundown farmhouse in the outskirts of Dayton, Ohio. The house is pretty bad shape. At one point, the foundation had a big giant hole in it. We thought the whole house was going to crash down. There was holes in the house. There'd be regularly bugs, wasps, stuff like that in the home, in my bed sometimes, kind of gross when you're a kid. We didn't have a furnace growing up. So I didn't have insulation in the walls either. I remember I could scratch my name in the window in the frost in my bedroom growing up, right? I wasn't actually, the first time I had a furnace in my life, I was 24 years old. I can still remember the feeling when it kicked through the floor registers. I remember how that made me feel. Wasn't a good student. I barely passed high school. My parents had a terrible divorce when they were 11, tore the family apart. I didn't know any business owners growing up. Had no influence, had no money, had no mentors, right? So, and if you were to ask anyone, hey, is Daniel going to be successful? Anyone that knew me, they'd have said no, right? It's not because they didn't love me, of course. But how could a poor boy from a broken home with no connections and no expectations achieve success? So I thought of a lot of different things I could tell you guys. I think I'm just going to hammer on 4 quick things. The first is you got to have goals. So I want you to think about a goal you have in life right now, and I want you to know that you have to set and write down goals. So what is a goal you have right now? And make it a major goal. It's funny, on the airplane back home yesterday, the flight attendant's like, well, motivate me. I said, you don't need motivation, you need discipline. What's one of your goals in life? She said, I don't have any. I said, you can't be motivated if you have no goals, right? So you got to have a goal. I got to show you guys this. When I was 20 years old, I was in school to be a real estate agent. And I was driving I can't remember the year, but it was an Astro van that was beat to hell, no exhaust, those loud vehicles that drive by? Yeah, that was mine. And so when I was 20 years old, I was like, I'm going to save money and buy a nice car. I didn't know what car I was going to buy. So I wrote down every single thing. This is old school, isn't it? I wrote down every single thing I bought. I had it in categories: miscellaneous, vehicle, food, everything. I wrote down every single penny, and every day I would review this to see how close I was to my goal. I ended up buying a Chrysler Sebring with nice rims, leather seats. It was not so bad for $9,500 there. And I ended the year with plus $277 after all my expenses. So hey, yeah, I was kind of rich. Come think about it. But I've always had goals, and I encourage you to have a goal. I've always had business goals. One of the biggest business goals I've had in the last couple of years is, for my axe-throwing business, I said I want to have 10,000 Google reviews, right? 10,000. And even the people that work for me, they said, you can't do 10,000 Google reviews. It's insane. It's too many. It's impossible, right? I looked this morning. I'm at 9,823, right? This day, next month, we'll hit the goal. Already, I'm the most highly rated and the most rated axe throwing facility, not just in Ohio or America, but in the entire world. That was a goal I had. When I was very young, I had a financial goal. I wanted to be net worth X amount by the time I hit 34, right? There was times where I was like, how could I do this? The dream's too big. The goal, I remember there was a couple of times I'm like, there's no way I'm going to hit it. And I hit it, right? I have personal goals too. Wendy talked about how I like to travel. I like to travel. It's not for everybody. My goal was to hit 100 countries by the time I'm 40. I'm 37 now, so close, Tomorrow I land in Barcelona with my girlfriend, right? That's going to be country 80 for me. So I'm not there yet, but it's going to happen, right? I'm 20 away, I'm 80% there. So You must have a goal, and I want you to have big goals. Why? Because I'd rather you aim too high and miss than aim too low and hit, of course. And it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than not have an opportunity not have an opportunity or not be prepared, not have an opportunity. Yeah, you guys know what I mean. Edit that, Michael. So that leads into mindset. So Jim Rohn, who was the mentor of Tony Robbins, he said you have to stand guard at the gates of your mind, right? There's constant negativity now in the world. You guys know this. It's the most negative and toxic environment that's ever been around. If you watch the news today, what are you going to see? You're going to load up on what? Riots and tragedies and looting and floods and all these bad things, right? And some people, they spend their whole day listening to all this negative stuff. And they wonder why they have a bad day, right? You have to be like, hey, is this going to add value to my life? And if it's not, then I'm not going to do it. I'll give social media, for example. How many times have we scrolled for an hour on Twitter or whatever, Do you ever feel better? Like maybe sometimes you watch some funny TikToks, but like overall, do you ever feel better? No. Sometimes you scroll on Facebook after an hour and you're like, what did I just do? I'm wasting my life, right? Now, what about a book though? What about a book that you're interested in? It could be fantasy, it could be business, it could be relationships. My girlfriend just got me a relationship book. I was like, I kind of rolled the eyes, but I read it and I was like, wow, like I really feel like more connected. I feel better. So you have to keep in mind what are you putting into your mind, because here's the truth. I'll give you guys a big secret. The key difference between a successful person and a not successful person is their mindset. Our lives are affected by the way we think things are, not by the way they actually are. So you have to really stand guard on your mind, and you have to ask the universe for what you want. You guys probably have friends who are like, oh man, I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to find the one. I'm never going to get that job, right? Ask and you shall what? Receive. Yeah, well, that goes both ways too. So it's like, hey, positive. What do I want in the universe? I was telling this yesterday, Wendy. I typed up this speech 3 days ago, right? On my computer. Didn't save it to Dropbox or anything. I was so tired because I stayed up the night before. I left my laptop on the plane in Athens without the speech saved, of course. So, who needs that? But I remember that part in the speech that says, ask the universe what you want, and you'll get it, right? And so I go to the Lost and Found, and I was like, universe, I need you now. And she's like, yeah, the cleaning crew, they found your laptop. I was like, oh man, thank you. That was fantastic. So ask what you want and you will receive. And who's ultimately responsible for everything that happens in your life? You, right? I used to blame everyone and everything growing up when I was a kid, right? I blamed the weather. I blamed negative people. I blamed my upbringing. People don't understand what it's like to be poor, right? I blame rich people, of course. They were on my list to blame. I even blamed my parents. They couldn't escape the list, right? No one was escaping the list. I blame the government. I blame taxes, right? They want you to do well. Look how much they're taking, right? It wasn't until I discovered that, hey, once I took full responsibility for the outcomes of my life, then my life improved. And there's no nobility in being a victim. None, right? I want you to burn this thought into your mind. Things don't happen to you, they happen for you, right? I'll give you guys an example. My friend Ali. My friend Ali was an 18-year-old normal kid. One day he's playing with his friends on a bridge. Pretty high up there. Slips and falls, right? You probably already see where this is going. He falls 30 feet, shatters his back into millions of pieces. Not millions of pieces, dozens of pieces. Rolls into a creek, right? Has to somehow swim when he can't use his lower half while his friends are coming down to get him. They pull him out. Instantly, he's a paraplegic. Just like that. You know what his dream was growing up? To be a bartender. That was his big dream, to be a bartender. Now he's a paraplegic. Now, 18 years old, right? Could you imagine? He has a whole world of excuses that he can use now. All this negative stuff. But does he do them? No, he doesn't. Instead, he becomes a doctor in mental health, right? And I remember I was hanging out with him a couple years ago, and I was like, Ali, why mental health, right? What's that about? And he said, when I roll in there in my wheelchair, or if I have my crutches, and I come in there, I'm a little bit more relatable. And maybe my message can get through more. So You have to think about these things, it's all about mindset. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So Ollie's going to transition to the third point. You are who you hang out with, right? I was going to have you guys write this down, but the person might be next to you. So I want you to think about, the top 3 people you spend the most time with. These are not the people you want to spend time with. I'm talking about the top 3 people you spend your time with, right? And I want you to ask yourself these questions in your mind, or answer them in your mind. Do these people uplift me? Are they supportive? Do these people help me achieve my goals? Can I trust this person? Are they reliable, right? Some of you guys are all shaking your head no, or you don't even realize it. You're like, nah. You've got that one person, you're just like, I need to get away from this person, right? And I'll give you an example on that. Who are my fast walkers here? Who walks fast? I got a couple. Who's my slow walkers? I know you're out there because I walk with you all the time. All right, if I were to have a fast walker and a slow walker go on a mile-long stroll, what has to happen? Either you adjust to their speed or they adjust to yours, right? And that's true in life. If you run around with losers, you're going to become a loser. If you don't run around with losers, then that's going to be good. And I'll talk about my escape room. When I was opening my escape room, even though it was business maybe 5 for me, you know what they said? This is a terrible idea. This is not going to work. Everyone said that. I had an entrepreneur friend said nobody will pay $26 per person to get locked in a room for an hour. Nobody. Another entrepreneur friend said, don't do it. It's a terrible idea. There's no money in retail. I like what Michelle Obama said. She said, when they go low, we go high, right? Do you know why people say that? You know why people put your dreams down? I'll let you on another little secret here. It's because the people that can't see it for themselves can't see it for you, right? So I've got a little technique for you next time, because you're going to have a lot of negative people in your life. I want you to say thank you when you hear negativity. I'll give you some examples. You'll see how well it works. You can't do that. Thank you very much. Yeah. You're going to open a business? No way you're going to open a business. Thank you very much, right? You can't go to school. You can't be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher. None of us have gone to college. Thank you kindly. You see how that works? And go about your business, right? Don't let these negative people ruin your life. And I'll give you an example. My first business was a photo booth rental, right? And I was sitting around with my friend Mike and Jeremy, and I had this photo booth idea. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but 6 words changed my entire life for my friend Mike. He looked over and he said, I can build it for you. I can build it for you, right? The next day we went to Lowe's and we started making the list and we started building it. I went on to start a DJ business, start a mobile bartending business. I had multiple party buses. I did all kinds of things. I did 11 things in the wedding industry at one point, more than pretty much anyone outside of an all-inclusive resort. I opened up an escape room. I bought an escape room. I opened up an axe throwing bar. I've done motivational journals. I've done all these different things. But where did it all come from? In fact, so years later, I ran into Mike and Jeremy. Not ran into them, I hung out with them. We were talking about it. And they said, we'll be honest with you. We thought it was a terrible idea. We're like, you're not going to make any money on this, right? Even though they thought that, though, they helped me, right? And without that help, I wouldn't have had everything that I have now. So, and that brings me to the 4th point, which is you got to work your butt off, right? You must work hard, like really hard. Every single day, you must be working on your dream. Les Brown says, you must do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have, right? Steve Harvey puts it a different way. He says, there is no elevator to success. You've got to take the stairs. What does that mean? That means life's not easy. It's not going to be a cakewalk. You think it was easy for me? No, I worked my butt off. I worked all the time. And I'll give you the best example of that. In 2016, I was working for corporate America. I was a college professor teaching multiple classes. I opened up an escape room where I was one of the primary employees. And there's a 4th one that's really good, but I can't remember it. Base, college professor, escape room. Oh, and I had 200 weddings for my wedding businesses. Yeah, it was the busiest year ever, right? I was working 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. every single day. It was absolute madness. I had 14 days off that year. 7 was spring break before we opened our escape room with some friends. And the other 7 was Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays, and all that stuff like that. I was working an insane amount. In fact, I was working so much that when I was working for corporate America, I was working for the man. Well, actually, I was working for the woman. And the boss's boss brought me into her office, right? And she said, hey, there's talk to the grapevine that you might be quitting. And without hesitation, I said, yeah, here's my 2 weeks, right? Wasn't part of the plan, just blah. It just came out. Well, guess what? Failure's not an option now, right? I got, it's time, it's sink or swim. And you want to put yourself in that position. You know, in ancient times, when they were invading a city, they would burn the boats. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that before. They'd burn the boats. We're either going to take that city, we're going to accomplish our goal, or we're going to die trying, right? Everything I've accomplished in life is a result of hard work. And I guess that goes to say, you know, if a poor boy from Beaver Creek, Ohio, with a broken home, no connections, no influence, nobody believing that he could do it, then you guys can do it. But I know that might not be good enough for some of you. So this is where I need your participation. I want you guys to yell out some of the goals you have right now. I need at least 3, so just yell them out.
Retire at 55.
Retire at 55. There's 1. Someone give me a goal. Any goal.
Financial independence.
Financial independence, that's good. Anyone else? Give me one more.
Buy a house.
Buy a house. All right. Has anyone in the world bought a house? Yeah, sure. Has anyone in the world retired before 55? Has anyone in the world had financial independence? You see, if it's possible for someone else, then it's possible for you. Imagine if you worked on your dream 1 hour every single day. That's 365 hours a year. Imagine what your life would be like. Imagine the possibilities. Imagine how much further you would be in achieving your goal, right? So I want you guys to take action and start chasing your dream. Why? Because it's possible. Thank you very much.